The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, Office of Grants and Research, STOP Grant, Students, Teachers, and Officers Preventing School Violence Act Grant Program Technical Assistance Webinar. We will get started shortly. We're giving people a few minutes to log in and get ready. Thank you.
Hi, Ben, can you hear me?
Hi, Kayla. We started the broadcast, so we'll get going in a few minutes.
Perfect, thank you.
Hey, Lisa just reached out to me. She should be hopping on like ASAP. I just forwarded the link.
Thank you, Steve. We'll give her one more minute.
All right.
Again, we want to thank you for attending the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, Office of Grants and Research, STOP Grant, Technical Assistance Webinar. My name is Sonia Scheid, the Division Manager here at the Office of Grants and Research. And I'm proud to introduce our Division Chief, Benjamin Pasadlo.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Sonia. I want to make sure that I give Sonia great credit today for all of her efforts in supporting this program. She's our experienced and esteemed division manager, as well as my colleague, Kayla Toner, our program coordinator, who's joining us today to assist with questions and answers, and Renee Algarin, our communications director, Lisa Lundquist, our research division manager, and Steve Domings, manager in our fiscal department, to review this grant that we're very excited about, and we're really grateful to each of you and your school systems, educational collaboratives, and charter schools for demonstrating your commitment to school safety and preventing and heading off violence in our school places to ensure that our students, teachers, and other visitors to our school settings are safe, secure, and able to be educated and provide education. Today, our agenda, we've completed our introductions. I believe that I don't think I missed anybody. Sonia, let me know if I did. We're going to do a quick overview of the grants, key dates and deadlines, procurement, reporting, the reimbursement process that I know many of you have inquired on or anxious to begin with. This is a reimbursement grant. We'll go over some examples, and we're very grateful to have Lisa Lundquist from our research division and Steve Domings from our fiscal division to go over how that's going to work in the reporting process and to get you quickly reimbursed for your expenditures in this time-sensitive grant. And of course, any questions. And with questions, we're here and available for you, and can certainly, with specific questions, follow up with you offline at the end as well. So a quick overview of the STOP grant, and this is important, and to each of you, particularly those who are going to be heading this up and looking at the money side of this, is that this is a Department of Justice federal grant from 2018, obviously with the COVID emergency. It's been delayed, and now we have a narrow time frame leading up to September 30th to get these deliverables done, and we're grateful to each of you for your focus on that. But is awarded to Massachusetts exclusively to public schools or districts, educational collaboratives, or charter schools to prevent and reduce violence in schools by developing and operating school threat assessments and crisis intervention teams. When we talk about crisis intervention teams, we're talking about teams to head off and prevent a violent episode before it happens, as it's escalating. But this isn't a response-oriented grant to an actual, an active shooter incident. This grant is meant to prevent those things from happening by having those functions and allowable activities in place to conduct threat assessments and establish those crisis intervention teams, multidisciplinary ones, to prevent these episodes from happening. Thank you. So quick overview, we had 14 awardees. I think that speaks to each of your schools and your commitment, totaling $570,465 in awards. Your start date is, from the date your contract was fully executed and returned to you with our executive director's signature, Kevin Stanton's signature on it, the date he signed that, to September 30th. There are no extensions, and that's per the federal government, per the Department of Justice. So no spending under this grant will be reimbursed for spending after September 30th of 2023. That's very important. So all expenses must be obligated between these dates. Okay, the reporting schedule. So quarter one, and it's obviously adjusted quarters given the time compression here. It's your contract start date, it was just discussed. The date that your contract was signed by our executive director, you may begin spending, and the first quarter is until June 30th, the end of the Commonwealth's fiscal year, and then you'd report on that on July 15th, but the spending for that would be for the period until June 30th, and then quarter two would be from July 1 to the end of the grant period, which is September 30th, 2023, the final day you can spend any funds, and then that report would be due, pardon me, October 15th. Each reporting period, your agency will submit a report. Part A will consist of a programmatic report, reporting form and form stack that was going to be sent to you today, and Part B will consist of a financial report, an Excel workbook, which will be also sent to you today together. The programmatic report will be a link, and Part B will be a financial report that's specific to your organization and will be protected. The budget will be protected so that it's not adjustable as far as the allowable approved budget items, in your budget that was submitted. And this is required in order for you to be reimbursed to complete this. So here's a timeline and deadlines. Contract packet submission deadline was March 24th. The contract start date, as we discussed, was the date it was signed by our executive director, Kevin Stanton. July 15th, first report due for start date to June 30th. Second quarter is October 15th for July 1st to the deadline of September 30th. And again, September 30th, 2023, absolute deadline for all reimbursable activities under this grant to cease. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts has provided the $250,000 match. So none of the schools being funded have to worry about a match. Commonwealth has covered that, and that's concluded. Procurement laws and policies, you must follow your organization's official organizational policies and all federal laws, as well as applicable Mass General Laws, Chapter 7, Section 22, and 801 CMR 21.00 regarding procurement, and of course, Mass General Law, Chapter 30B. All procurement transactions shall be conducted in a manner so as to provide maximum open and free competition. Reporting forms. Lisa Lundquist, our manager from RPAD, our research division, will be speaking on this, but reporting forms will be accessed through a link and an Excel workbook provided by OJR, as we said. This link will bring you to the programmatic form, and Lisa Lundquist will now present on this, on Part A, the STOP grant program form. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Ben. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, and can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the Form Stack progress report. As Ben said, there's 2 quarterly progress report, and one is due July 15th and the other is due October 15th. So I'm going to walk you through the online report right now, but there are several different sections. There's the first part is the reporting period and reporting information. This is just the basic information. So you'd go here and select the reporting period. The first quarter would be your contract start date to June 30th, 2023. For the reporting information, this is where you'd enter the name of your school or charter schools, the grantee contact name. So this is the person filling out the form, the email address, and then the phone number. And then on the next page, you'll just see some instructions at the top that will tell you how you can save and resume later. So I believe you can save and return to this form up to 30 days. And once you hit save and resume, it will come up and you just put your email address in and you'll get a link and you'll be able to return to the form within 30 days. Okay, so this first section is about school threat assessments. This is mainly, all these questions are taken from the federal application. So we're asking for the number of individuals determined by a school counselor as needing an assessment. And if there are any of these individuals, of those, we want to know how many received the assessment within the following time periods. So if you have 4 individuals and 2 received an assessment within 24 hours, you would just put 2 here, and then maybe 2 received it within 2 to 5 days. We're also asking that you list the threat assessment tools here in the open-ended box. And then we're asking, of those individuals determined by a school counselor as needing a threat assessment, how many received a clinical threat assessment by a licensed professional? And then of those individuals who received a clinical threat assessment by a licensed professional, how many were determined to be a threat to themselves? How many were referred to a program? And then how many received a clinical threat assessment more than once within a 90-day period? The next section is about intervention teams. So we're just asking, did your school have an intervention team prior to receiving BJA funds? And if they did, we're asking during this reporting period, did your school use BJA funds to expand or enhance their intervention team? If you say yes to that, then we're asking you to indicate how you used funds to expand or enhance the crisis intervention team. And then you would just select any that apply. We're also asking about the individuals on your intervention team, and you can select all that apply here as well. There's also an other space where you can enter any others that are not listed within that list. For issues and crises, we want to know the number of issues or crisis the intervention team responded to in the reporting period, the total number related to, let's say it's 3, the total number related to violence, total number related to threats of violence, suicidal threats or attempts, and then other incidents. We're also asking during this reporting period, provide the total number of students involved in the issues and crises. If you did not have any issues or crisis, you would just put 0 here and then 0 down here for the number of students involved. The next section is on school safety assessments and surveys. So during this reporting period, how many schools were determined to need a security survey? How many schools completed the survey? And then they'll ask how many recommendations were identified from the security survey, and then how many recommendations identified during the security survey were implemented. And this is all during the reporting period. The next section is about technology systems. So did you propose to develop and operate anonymous reporting systems for threats of school violence in your grant application? If you did, then there's a series of questions. Please indicate the type of proposed anonymous reporting solutions to be implemented, and you can select all that apply. And then we're asking, please indicate the type of anonymous report solutions that were implemented and available to users. And so once we select these, we want to know the dates that they were implemented. So the date the smartphone application was implemented, the date anonymous hotlines were implemented, and the date the website was implemented. Then we're asking for how many total anonymous tips have been received this reporting period. And then for each, we're asking for the number of smartphone application downloaded users this reporting period, and then the number of website hits. And this is where you will, Steve's going to explain the financial report, but this is where you would upload the financial report. So this first question is just asking, what is the total amount of expenditures reported in the reporting period based on the reporting period that you select? And then this is where you would upload your financial report and any supporting documentation. If you have more than 3 supporting documentations, you can just put it into a PDF and upload it as one document. Oh, yes, Okay, so let's just put 50,000 there. These are required questions. So you cannot move until you enter some information. Okay, so this is the last page, and we're just asking you about waste, fraud, and abuse. This is a standard question that we ask all grantees. Are you aware of any concerns regarding waste, fraud, or abuse connected to any of the grant funding activities? If you hit yes, then we ask that you report that to the state auditor, and there's the contact information. This is where the person filling out the report would enter their name, their job title, and then their signature here and the date completed. And then once you can either save and resume later. One thing about saving and resuming later, if you've uploaded any documents to the form, you would have to re-upload those documents. So it doesn't save uploaded documents. Once you're ready to submit, you just click submit form, and then you would receive, I just have to fill out this. You will receive an email with a PDF copy of the form. And then we'll also be receiving an email, so I do not believe you have to send him anything. He'll be receiving the same email with your attachments. And that's it for me, unless anybody has any questions.
Thanks so much, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you. Wonderful. So we can move on to the next slide. So the reimbursement process, and we're going to hand this over to Steve Domings here in a moment. Once OGR is approved to submit a reimbursement, our fiscal team will process the payment for the expenditures. Turnaround time to receive payment shall be within 45 calendar days of your submission date. Our fiscal team will use the vendor code on your contract to electronically deposit the payment. If issues arise during the review process at OGR that need to be addressed by the subrecipient, that's you, the schools, the 45-day rule will apply to the new submission date. That's the date that we receive the corrected, if there needs to be corrections or amendments, the new submission date. Then the 45 days will begin. And next slide, please. Oh yes, commingling. So this is important, that the mixing or blending of grant funds so that expenditures cannot be identified to a particular grant, project, or indirect activity is prohibited. Subrecipients' records must adequately identify the source and application of funds for federally sponsored activities. The subrecipient's financial system must provide for effective control over and accountability for all funds, property, and other assets. Subrecipients shall safeguard all such assets and ensure they are used solely for authorized and approved purposes. And those are the authorized and approved purposes in your final approved budgets, and according to the AGF, the requirements laid out in the original notice of the availability of grant funds that you applied to. You can go on to the next one. So Steve Domings will now, our budget manager from our fiscal team, will review the Part B, the financial reporting. And again, these will be sent out today to you, the link, and as well as this will be an attachment that he will go over now, that you'll provide and upload with the form that Lisa Lundquist just reviewed. Thank you,
Perfect.
Steve.
No problem. Do you guys see my screen? It should be the Excel workbook.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, guys. My name is Steve. I'm a budget manager over here at OGR. We're going to go over how to navigate We're going to test out the functionality of the expenditure workbook. This is very similar to the budget that you guys filled out during the application process. So yeah, let's get started. Upon opening the document, you're going to notice several tabs. I highly recommend that you go straight to the Open in Document tab. This will give you a set of instructions on what to do. Basically, this is a macro-enabled document, so we have to do whatever it is in order to enable, edit and enable those macros. This is the only way that this workbook is going to work to how you need it to work. What we've been noticing lately is when the expenditure workbook is being transferred over like cloud servers or being saved on a cloud server, we definitely run into some like technical difficulties. Not all users, but some users. It's just some like security firewall. So we're gonna give you recommendations on what to do. So upon opening a document, you're gonna get a couple yellow banners. Once again, make sure you just hit enable editing, enable content. If you are one of the users that run into this security risk, which is the red banner, just X out of the document. And what you should be doing is download the document, the Excel workbook, straight to your desktop. When you do that, just right click on the file, go to the properties section. We want to make sure that this unblock little checkbox is indeed checked off. Hit apply, okay. Then you'll be able to reopen the Excel workbook without any issues. Basically what you're doing is you're allowing the macros to take place. You're saying that where the Excel workbook is from a trustworthy source, and now you're able to use that functionality. So other tabs that you'll see is the year-to-date breakdown page, which pretty much outlines like your subrecipient name, the project title, the contract start and end date. Once again, the contract end date will be a strict 9/30/2023. This contract start date, this is just for demo purposes, but make sure to look at the standard contract that you signed off on, an authorized signatory from your location. Also, the executive director of OGR, Kevin Stanton. So that start date is the date that Kevin Stanton signs off on it. No expenditures could occur before this date, and no expenditures could occur after the contract end date. So you also notice a couple different things here. We have the approved budget. Just take a look at it, right? We want to make sure that the values per cost category matches to the T the values per cost category on your approved budget in the application. So that should be the first thing you look at. If you notice something's off, please let us know right away. This way we can make the changes and get that back to you right away. Then we're going to see some quarterly columns. Basically, as you fill out the quarter details down here, they'll populate on this page. In turn, that'll lead to the year-to-date cash expenditures, which is accumulated total of Q1 and Q2, and then you get the remaining balance. So as we start putting in some live figures, you'll see those numbers change up. You're going to also see the Q1 detail, and this is where you will notice the command buttons or the macro buttons. So just like the application budget, you'll be able to click these buttons right here to add rows if needed. Say if you want to delete row, you just click into the row that you want to delete, click the delete row button. That functionality just goes, throughout the whole page. But in order to enter values, just click right in and enter it. So these are the two big input variables, column B's and column C's. You'll notice that, say if you do enter a number in column B, what we want here, right, is column E is the cash expenditures. Remember, that is what you want to be reimbursed for your grant. So if nothing is popping up there and you send us a reimbursement with nothing there, that means we're not going to be able to reimburse you the total that you want. So say if we just enter a pay rate of $25 and no quantity, there's not going to be any cash expenditures here. You have to enter both column B and column C. So when you do that, $2,500 populates. Once again, let's just say if only the quantity was entered, there'll be no cash expenditures. So you have to make sure both column B and column C is entered. At the same time, we also want, a nice detailed description on what that line item is about. So say if it's me working on the grant, just, list some activities that I did during that time period. And we'll add another one. So 6250. You also see that $6,250 is going to populate right here accordingly in the personnel section of Q1 on the year-to-date tab. You'll also see that on the budget summary page. I'm going to get back to this budget summary page in a little bit, but I want to test out some more line items here. So yeah, so let's just say if you have personnel, if you did apply for fringe, then we want to make sure that we could, get reimbursed on that. Let's just say you can't apply for, you can't reimburse for fringe if if you didn't work on the grant. So you can't just have some random person being reimbursed for health insurance if they didn't work on the grant. All people that are listed on personnel, all people that are listed on fringe need to actively be working on that grant. And the amount allocated for that time period needs to be the amount represented when applying for fringe as well. Say 20. And when you do apply for fringe, this should be consistent with the application approved budget, and it should also be broken down as the example notes. So I did 20%, but let's just say if it was indeed 15%, we'd just say health insurance 10%, dental 2.5%, life insurance 2.5%. We'll just write that right there in the description. This way we have the breakout getting to that fringe rate. Something for indirect. Indirect, if you do have indirect as a cost category, you might have a federally negotiated indirect rate. That will tell you what's an applicable base, saying hey, here's all the costs that could actually be applied to that indirect rate. You cannot list an indirect rate that is actually greater than your approved indirect rate. Say if you don't have an approved indirect rate, you may choose to use the de minimis rate, which is 10% against the modified total direct costs. You could reach out to us if you need any help on that. So there's also a section for contracts and consultants, travel. Just to remember, you cannot have mileage reimbursement over 62 cents a mile. 62 cents a mile is the max. Then if you have other supplies and other invoices that don't fit any of the aforementioned cost categories, you can enter it here. But the same functionality applies. You want to add, delete. Let's just say if we wanted to add something right here, ABC Corp. $62, they work for 35 hours, pops up right there. And then as you enter in here, everything will pop up. Now, a couple different things, how Lisa L, right? She showed you form stack. There was a section there for documentation to be uploaded. Now, each cost category is going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to go over some of the deliverables that are needed for each cost category. For personnel and fringe and payroll tax, it is the honor system, but you don't have to send the payroll records to us. Instead, please keep that on location in the case of a site audit visit. Same thing as indirect. If you do have anything with contractors, consultants, all invoices, no matter what, say if you are listing something for reimbursement, you must submit invoice documentation on that form stack module. Same thing with travel. Anything related to travel, we need all travel related documentation uploaded to the form stack. And other supplies, that's that's kind of based on what it is. Say if there is something that relates to maybe like a contracts consultants that you put in here instead, upload it. If it's just for minor supplies that doesn't exceed $1,000 for that reporting period, you don't have to upload it, but just keep it at your site just in case for an audit. If this section does exceed $1,000 for supplies purchases, yeah, make sure to upload that. So that $1,000 is that threshold. And then, yeah, there's a couple different ways. Now that we know that this is like the wrap up for this specific reporting period, whereas the year to date shows all reporting periods, we're going to have you sign off on this document. So just double check the numbers, make sure everything, is what you entered here. Everything seems like it's a nice little match. And we're going to really promote the use of just kind of have like a hand-drawn signature. There's going to be a couple of different ways that you can do this. I'm going to show you in that next Q2 tab as well. But in order to have your signature right here, you go to Insert up top, Shapes, and this little free-form scribble. Your best ability to do your signature. Enter the date that you want. And now that you signed off on this, right, because we are requiring you to submit the Excel workbook, all you have to do is hit save. And when you hit save, just upload this document, right to the form stack when you do that submission process, and that's acceptable. Now, let's just say if it's Q2, you'll notice that we have Q1, Q2. Q1 has its own Q1 budget summary page. Q2 will have its own Q2 budget summary page. So when it's time, I believe it's 10/15 is the due date for the period 7/1 to 9/30. You'll start entering the numbers. And remember, just because I'm leaving it blank for test purposes, please provide meaningful descriptions here describing all activities. And you'll be able to see that it pops up right here. Now, you could kind of go old school, right? And maybe you want to have like a wet signature. That's totally fine. If you want to do that, we have this button right here that says Print PDF. And what this Print PDF button does is it consolidates that year-to-date cumulative summary page, the breakdown. It'll also take the budget summary page specific to Q2 right here, and it'll also take the Q2 budget detail page as well. So if you want, you could print this out. You could sign off on this, just like wet signature. Write your name, your date, your email, and then you could upload the document, the PDF, scan it, upload it like that. In addition to also uploading the Excel workbook. Either way works. But let's just say if you didn't have any expenditures at all for that reporting period, sometimes that does happen. There is a box that says, hey, will you be reporting $0 expenditures for this period? Here's a drop down. Just click yes. And what this does is it'll, on the respective budget summary page, there will be a little statement down here that just says it was $0 expended for this reporting period. Once again, you could go ahead and you could do the free form scribble here, just sign off on it, and then save it, upload it like that, or you could choose to have that print PDF function. Another tab is just a reiteration of what Ben was going over earlier. Basically, it's the reporting periods tab. This basically says like, hey, here's the reporting period date range. Here's the due date for it. We definitely recommend that you guys follow this in order, just to get paid and make sure that you guys get paid on time. And then the last page is the examples. Just saying like, hey, this is what you should be looking at. So yeah, once you get this page, once you get the Excel workbook, definitely start working with it, right? Start navigating through it. See if you have any issues with functionality. Don't wait till the day of submission to reach out. Granted, we're going to help you either way, but as soon as you get it, save it right to your desktop. Get used to it, work with it. And if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to me at any point. I'll give you a call and, help you through it. All right, Ben, see you.
Thanks so much, Steve. Some really great advice about, really looking at the forms ahead of time so you're not scrambling and having any issues during the time of submission.
Right.
No problem.
That's fantastic. Great. We can go to the next slide, please. I think we went through this. Yeah, got that.
Yeah, I think there might be one thing I missed, and yeah, just to kind of go at it again, right? So your budget that's on your approved budget that was submitted with the contract signed off, please stick to those cost categories. Don't spend outside those cost categories. So let's just say if you want to get reimbursed for travel, but it wasn't approved, don't go ahead and start, doing travel expenses. Like any expenditures needs to be in an approved cost category. I can't stress it enough. That's very helpful. It'll definitely, make a seamless transition. If you do have any questions regarding like allowable, unallowable costs, please make sure to, reread that AGF. Sometimes things could be a little unclear. Yeah, reach out to the OGR team, program coordinators. They'll help you out as best as we can.
Great. Thank you, Steve.
Again, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please put them in the question box and we'll get to them at the end. And as always, any questions that come up after the presentation, please feel free to reach out.
Great. We can go on to the next one. Great. Yeah, so this is our final slide, but I really want to thank Steve Domings and Lisa Lundquist for reviewing the two reporting forms. The programmatic one that's going to be, the link will be emailed to you today, and attached to that will be the workbook that Steve just went over. Additionally, this presentation is being recorded and will be posted on the website for subrecipients so that you can access it, and we'll send that out, as well as we'll also put the link to the FormStack form on there. And we do look forward to scheduling site visits with all of you to observe what the great work that you're doing. I know all of you have plans and are enthusiastic about getting this started and are underway to develop strategies and mechanisms according to this grant to prevent and head off school violence and keep our schools safe. And we're really grateful to each of you for your incredible efforts. Your 14 public schools, educational collaboratives, and I believe it's one charter school that are really you're the leaders, and we recognize that. Our undersecretary, Jean Benacasa Thorpe, our executive director, Kevin Stanton, and our secretary, Terry Reedy, for the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, really want us to thank you. And also, we really appreciate you taking the lead statewide as Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll continue to focus in on the problem of violence in our schools, and really wanting to find ways we can constructively and preventatively head it off and make sure our schools are safe and welcoming and secure places for our students, but also our staff, teachers, and visitors, and making sure that we're doing everything we can to support you on the front line doing the important work you do as educators and caretakers of our young people. With that, Kayla's on, and she's doing a great job with any questions. We are, this doesn't end with this. We are here as a resource. That's why we're here. We're available to you to answer questions, deal with concerns. We as Steve just said, we really want you to proactively reach out if you have a question, because we don't want, I think the hard stops for us as far as the federal, this is a federal grant, allowability is around the end date of September 30th and making sure, as he said, you stick to your approved budget. And if you have any questions about that, making sure you talk to us first before you spend expecting reimbursement. That's critical, and that this is a prevention, towards the prevention of violence. This isn't a grant that's focused on how we respond so much to, an episode of violence in the schools, particularly like an active shooter incident. This isn't towards ALICE training or buying first aid equipment. This is to conduct those threat assessments and develop those interdisciplinary teams to prevent and head off school violence. With that, can certainly take some questions, and most likely we'll get back to you individually, but if there are questions that are broad, we can certainly discuss them.
I have a question. Oh, excuse me.
Yes, who is this?
It's just, I have a question from Miss Pearl about cost differential. She writes, what if cost in a category such as consultants may have increased and personnel costs may have decreased? Can the funds be moved to that category?
Great. I'd defer to Steve on that if he can answer it, or we can address that offline.
Yeah, if that's the case, because sometimes that does happen, and because you're really staying with the scope, right? It's not like you're changing up the whole program of what you initially went for. That's allowable. You just reach out to us if that is the case beforehand. We could process a GAM, which is sort of like a budget revision, which we're just saying like, hey, for this reason, you're going to see more costs exceed in a cost category than originally anticipated, and then we'll be able to, help move that around. But yeah, definitely reach out to us. Just kind of giving us a heads up. This is going to be like kind of one-offs, but yeah, that's acceptable.
Great. Thank you, Steve.
No problem.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pearl, for that good question. Kayla, any other questions?
Not at this time, but thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kayla. Okay. Well, please, you see my email address there and Sonia's. If you have questions, please reach out to me. There is the possibility in the coming weeks or a month or so that we may delegate the point of contact for this grant to another staff member. If that happens, you'll all be notified and confirmed on who that is. But I will remain, and Sonia will remain a resource to you regardless. And I am the lead point of contact on this. Benjamin Pasado. There you see my email address. And we're really grateful to all of you. Please let us know what you need, how things are going, and as Steve and Lisa pointed out, please reach out to us with any questions. And also, if there's something you're not sure about that's not, whether it's allowable or it might be a change, please contact us beforehand. And with that, I'm going to conclude the broadcast. If there are no more questions, Kayla?
Excuse me, Ben, can I just say one more thing? This is Lisa.
Absolutely, thank you. Go ahead.
So when you submit your progress report, your program progress report, you'll get an email, but the email will only include a PDF of the progress report that's submitted. It does not include the attachments. So only Ben will get like the attachments for your Excel spreadsheets and all those extra documentation that you submit with your financial reports. So you need to keep those yourself somewhere safe, saved on in your files. I just wanted to mention that.
Great, thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you.
Kayla, any further questions from our subrecipients?
I don't see any more at this time. Thank you, though.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for attending the STOP Grant Program Technical Assistance webinar. We're most grateful. We're here for you as your program managers and the team to provide you guidance, and we look forward to working with you and hearing and learning all about the progress in your projects. And congratulations to all of you. And on behalf of Governor Healy, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, Secretary Reedy, Undersecretary Benacasa, and our Executive Director, we want to thank you for your efforts, diligence, and leadership on this important focus for the Commonwealth. Have a great afternoon and a wonderful weekend.
Great. Thank you, everyone.